Good, happy Thursday morning, September 12, 2019. I'm Riley King, and welcome to the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. We have a lot of news to get to this morning, so let's begin. First up, lockdown lifted in Walpole as police search for man after crash. Man spotted in Westminster, Vermont, police say. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Kristen Carosa.
We're here today to tell you good folks about Cozy Cabin Rustics Furniture and Mattress Bargain Barn. We carry all types of furniture, including American-made Adirondack and real logs, hardwoods, and reclaimed barn boards to build our quality furniture.
Now at 3 convenient locations. Hey-up.
Tom and Jen, we're standing right along Route 12 here in Walpole. We are told the suspect crashed his car behind me at this corner, a pursuit that started in Brattleboro, Vermont earlier today. A Vermont police officer attempted to stop 28-year-old Zach McAllister earlier today, but he took off going more than 100 miles per hour. Police then say he crashed his car here in Walpole, striking another driver who was taken to the hospital. McAllister then ran off into the cornfields heading towards the Connecticut River. Parts of Walpole were shut down and put into lockdown during the search, including a school that has since been lifted. Officers from Vermont and New Hampshire have been searching for him all afternoon. They believe he is in Vermont right now. We spoke to a woman who was confronted by McAllister at her home in Westminster, Vermont.
He goes, "I need a phone." And he started to come into the house. I said, "No, you can't come into the house," and I shut the door.
At this time, we're going to be applying for arrest warrants for Mr. McAllister, and hopefully in the next day or two, we can apprehend this suspect.
Now, police are asking people to take a very close look at McAllister's picture, and if anyone sees him, call police right away. We're live in Walpole. Kristen Carosa, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. AG's office continues to criticize Hillsborough County Attorney's office. State officials say backlog of cases could be addressed within weeks. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Amy Cavino.
Chapel Tractor has been in our family since 1955, when great-grandfather Pearlie and our grandfather George.
Tom, Deputy Attorney General Jane Young wanted to address what she calls an onslaught of calls and questions to the AG's office over the past few days, asking if the takeover of the county attorney office is political. Young calls the situation dire and says public safety, not politics, is why they are there. These 3 veteran prosecutors have spent the past 2.5 days inside the county attorney's office and say they are alarmed by the case backlog and the lack of procedures in place. Young says they can catch up on the backlog in 2 weeks. Hillsborough County Attorney Michael Conlon, who was elected last year, has had 8 months. Conlon fired back, saying he spent the first 3 to 4 months fighting for increases in his budget so he could hire more staff to tackle the issues. He says the AG's office ability to clear backlogs is in part due to the 24% budget increase he attained.
They haven't met with me and they haven't spoken with me in any meaningful way. Other than initially on Monday morning when Gordon, said that they were here to work collaboratively with us.
We are not politicians, and we do not do things for political reasons. We do this job for one reason, It's to protect the people for the state of New Hampshire. So to say that it's insult to us and to our office that we're asked that question, we need it to stop.
Conlon says he's not going anywhere. He says he has the support of the county commissioners, who in a letter repeat that the office was on the brink of collapse before Conlon was even elected. Live in studio this evening, Amy Covino, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Manchester police concerned with low number of recruits. Many applicants don't pass exam in physical test. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Charisse LeClaire.
We're here today to tell you good folks about Cozy Cabin Rustics Furniture and Mattress Bargain Barn. We carry all types of furniture, including American-made Adirondack and real logs, hardwoods, and reclaimed barn boards to build our quality furniture.
Now at 3 convenient locations. Hale?
Over the last few years, we've seen a pretty drastic decline in applications.
Manchester police are hoping to change that, releasing this video showing the perks of the job, hoping more potential recruits will be interested in joining the department.
This last test on August 24th, we had 113 applications. About 81 people actually showed up.
But out of that 81, not everyone makes the cut after exams and physical tests.
The initial phases, once they apply, would be a written test. Okay, that takes approximately 2.5 hours. Once they pass that, then they move on to the physical test.
That consists of a 1.5 mile run, sit-ups and push-ups. If you pass those, you go through oral boards. Currently, 31 applicants are in the background phase, which consists of a background investigation, polygraph, and more, whittling the field of applicants down further.
1-4 first stop.
Officer Jack Wagner joined Manchester Police in March after working as an officer in a different town for several years. He and other officers say the demands here allow you to make a difference.
Real big change from where I came from, but I've enjoyed every day. Every day's been different, and so far it's been a great experience.
I've been here 20 years. It's probably the most rewarding experience I've ever had.
For more information on how to apply, you can visit our website or mobile app. Another round of recruiting begins in November. Live in Manchester, I'm Charisse LeClaire, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. OxyContin maker agrees to pay $12 billion settlement. New Hampshire lawmakers say settlement isn't enough. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Gene Mackin.
We're here today to tell you good folks about Cozy Cabin Rustics Furniture and Mattress Bargain Barn. We only use real logs, hardwoods, and reclaimed barn boards to build our quality furniture. And the best prices on mattresses made by Simmons & Serta.
Now at 3 convenient locations. Hale?
It is a mass settlement over claims that aggressive marketing downplayed the risk of OxyContin addiction, led to overprescribing and deaths. ABC News has learned Purdue Pharma would declare bankruptcy, but still continue to sell OxyContin, pay up to $12 billion. $3 billion coming from the Sacklers, the family with chief ownership of Purdue Pharma. They would also give up control of the company. In sworn testimony from a 2015 lawsuit, Dr. Richard Sackler was asked if OxyContin is more powerful than morphine.
Powerful means potency. Absolutely. It is twice as potent as morphine.
Most of the settlement money would be directed to treatment and anti-overdose measures.
Well, I don't think $12 billion is a lot of money. Unfortunately, it's a paltry sum.
The lead counsel for New Hampshire's counties, along with Belmont and Claremont, is aware several states are not joining the agreement because they say it's not enough money and that Purdue Pharma needs to admit wrongdoing.
If we reject it, the real challenge to be faced is that they'll go into bankruptcy or they'll settle with those who choose to settle with them.
And while some states vow to continue the legal battle, one attorney general from a settlement state says this is the quickest way to guarantee relief right now when it's needed most.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Lessons of 9/11 taught to another generation of Manchester students. Students at Manchester West weren't alive when attacks happened. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Andy Hirschberger.
Chapel Tractor has been in our family since 1955, when great-grandfather Pearlie and our grandfather George decided.
They are the children of the post-9/11 world. Young men and women born after the terrorist attacks 18 years ago today, who are living with the consequences of one of those tragic watershed moments in American history. Pamela Martinez is a West High senior. She played taps today at this school memorial service.
Truly, everything that is happening here right now is real, and I don't think a lot of people do realize that it really changed a lot of people's lives.
Before September 11th, 2001, many adults were aware of the threat of terrorism, but after that fateful day, there was a new generation who grew up in a world of long airport security lines and TSA regulations that prevent you from carrying bottled water onto an airplane. Many of these students are trying to understand just how much 9/11 changed their lives.
My uncles and my great-grandfather and my grandfather, they've all been in the military, so to know that all those people have made the sacrifice that they did that day to help out however they could means a lot.
West High principal Richard Decard was a 24-year-old math teacher at a middle school. He knows the importance and the challenge of teaching 9/11's significance.
While it may be difficult, I still think it's important for us that we remember what happened, why it happened, and then now take a look at all the things that we're doing to prevent it from happening again.
The attack happened so long ago, and that now I feel that it's kind of being forgotten, but things like this, kind of jog people's memory, and I think that's a good thing.
One student commented today about the importance of national unity that was so strong in the months and years directly after the attacks. Reporting live, I'm Andy Hirschberger, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. School bus driver resigns after driving away, leaving child behind. Driver said she didn't see the girl. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Siobhan Lopez.
Chapel Tractor has been in our family since 1955, when great-grandfather Pearlie and our grandfather George decided to...
Home surveillance video captures 11-year-old Brianna Guittard trying to board the school bus Monday morning, only to have the doors shut and the driver take off.
I was kind of confused and kind of shocked that it happened.
The 7th grader doesn't usually take the bus, but her mother was on bed rest. She says just as the boy in front of her got to the top of the stairs, the doors shut.
So then I knocked on the door to see if she would realize that I was there, and she didn't. She just drove off.
Thank God I was home. Thank God nothing happened.
Brianna's mom, Kelly, contacted the superintendent and the owner of the bus company immediately. She says she was told the driver didn't see Brianna and wanted to apologize in person.
Which, that's great, but that's not gonna help the other kids on the bus and their safety.
But before that apology could happen, Kelly says she posted the video on social media to get advice from other parents. Hours later, the driver resigned.
Good, I guess. Like I said, my main concern is the kids.
Steve Brown, the owner of the bus company, did not want to speak on camera, but tells us that he had never received a complaint about this driver in the past. He says he's disappointed that his driver felt like she needed to resign before this went through any kind of process. Brown, who has been the contracted bus company for Wilton Line Borough since 1996, says he was already struggling with a driver shortage. Superintendent Brian Lane urges all parents to report any safety issues.
Looking at the video, it appeared to me that the student was visibly present and the bus left without them. It's not the norm and not acceptable.
In Wilton, Siobhan Lopez, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Zelensky still exploring run for governor. Lands 67 new supporters. Shea Porter, Burling, Hager, Hollingworth join Governor Exploratory Committee. It's clear that Executive Counselor Andrew Levinsky will eventually become the second Democrat to declare his candidacy for governor. But for the moment, he is still in the exploratory stage. And later Thursday, Zelensky will formally unveil the names of 67 new members of his exploratory committee, adding to the 175 Granite Staters who backed him when he announced the committee in early July. New Hampshire primary source has a first look. C. Stack says he brings unmatched foreign policy credentials to Democratic primary. Retired admiral enters presidential race later than others. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Adam Sexton.
Mrs. Smith, we got your water test results back.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so your arsenic levels are really high.
Joe Sestak brings a unique perspective to the 2020 Democratic presidential primary. The former three-star vice admiral served in the Navy for 3 decades and was director of defense policy for the National Security Council under President Clinton. And on this fateful day, 18 years ago, he was at the Pentagon.
I'd walked out of the Pentagon, and about
20 minutes later or so, the plane slammed into that building. I came back and spent the night on a makeshift command center looking down at the scar on the building, actually on an entire nation.
Sestak, who was on the ground in Afghanistan for a short time and then oversaw U.S. airstrikes from the Arabian Sea, says no one in the massive field of 2020 candidates can match his military and foreign policy background.
This breadth and depth of global experience and understanding that if you're going to ever use our military, you better understand how it's going to end before you think it's wise to begin.
Along those lines, the retired admiral doesn't fault President Trump for inviting the Taliban to peace talks at Camp David.
How else are you going to end a war?
Nonetheless, he believes the president has weakened national security and says it's time for a less ideological commander-in-chief.
Any special interest, no matter the cost.
And Sestak is on his first extended campaign trip to New Hampshire. While he has focused heavily on Iowa until now, the admiral says he's going to ramp up his visits here. Live in the studio, Adam Sexton, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And now let's take a look at your 2020 New Hampshire candidate tracker for Thursday, September 12, 2019. We have 3 candidates today in New Hampshire. The first candidate we're going to talk about, Tim Ryan. He will be at an event, Civil Liberties and Presidency at UNH School of Law in Concord, New Hampshire at 6 o'clock p.m. Joe Sestak will be at Salem Democrats Coffee and Conversation in Salem, New Hampshire at 10 o'clock a.m. And Bill Weld has 5 events today in New Hampshire. His first stop is tour of Fuller's Sugar House in Jefferson, New Hampshire at 9 o'clock a.m. His second stop, a tour of Lancaster Floral Design and Garden Center in Lancaster, New Hampshire at 10:15 a.m. His third stop is civil discussion at Groveton High School in Groveton, New Hampshire at 11 o'clock a.m. His fourth stop is tour of Top Furniture in Gorham, New Hampshire at 12:30 p.m. And his last stop of the day will be a tour of Mount Washington and environmental policy discussion in Gorham, New Hampshire at 1:45 p.m. And those are all the candidates that are in New Hampshire today. U.S. Feature Point 2 higher open on Wall Street. U.S. stocks were higher Thursday morning. And tonight is a big night for ABC News and Univision. The third debate, presidential debate, ABC News is hosting it, and let's take a look at ABC News Democratic debate stage design. Let's take a look at that.
So let's take a wide shot tonight of the stage here at Texas Southern University, where Mary Bruce is up there on that stage, where the candidates will be this time tomorrow night. And Mary, the stakes could not be higher for really all the candidates as they try to break out.
Yes, and David, for the first time, voters will be able to compare these two candidates side by side. Standing right here will be Joe Biden, and right here next to him will be Elizabeth Warren. These two candidates have wildly different campaign styles and visions for the future. We'll be watching closely to see if they attack each other. With Warren on the rise, will Biden take some shots at her? together? And will the other candidates too, like Bernie Sanders? He and Elizabeth Warren share many of the same positions, but so far they've declined to go after each other. Now standing next to them will be Kamala Harris and Pete Buttigieg. They are looking for a boost. While, David, these candidates on the wings, they are in need of a jolt too. They're looking for that breakout moment, hoping to upend the race. David.
We'll be watching. You'll be right here with us, Mary, and I'll be moderating with our George Stephanopoulos and Lindsay Davis and our colleague Jorge Ramos from Univision. That's tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern, one stage, one night, right here.
Okay, and there you go. And we will be sure to bring you a live stream of the debate tonight on the Riley King Network Facebook page. And that is it for this morning edition of the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you back here later on today for another newscast. And I'll have a news report coming up in a little bit. Goodbye, everyone.